Good morning. Good morning. How you doing? How's your weekend? I mean the whole week that passed. And how's the weekend going too? You're welcome to connect and reflect. Um, like every other weekend, we'll come here. We'll bring you relatable topics that will catch your interest. And over the week, a lot of things have happened, and one of it is the Tuface-Natasha story that is going online. And we observe, according to the video that's been circulating, that Tuface was arrested in the UK following the argument he and Natasha had in the store, based on the video we saw online. So it's all allegedly, and over the and we saw that Tuface was arrested, was handcuffed, and his hand was behind his back with his police standing right beside him. And this allegation came from the place that he and Natasha had an argument. And for them to have an argument to the extent that police is involved, it speaks a lot, and from a couple. So if you're husband and wife and you found that you are the reason your husband, your famous husband, is being handcuffed, it speaks a lot of what is going on in the family. As if that was not enough, but that the Fritz had a live program where a lot of his managers, Two-Face managers, came online to spew a lot of things that's been happening behind closed doors that we do not know. Information reaching us says that Natasha has been the one managing Two-Face ever since they got married. That even to the extent that she is the one managing Two-Face money. That also speaks a lot from African man's perspective. As if that was also not enough, so Two-Face appeared on that the Freeze live, and shows a lot of distress, and the video was distorted, shows that there's a female voice in the background who was struggling to get Two-Face phone. And as if that was also not enough, Two-Face came out to debunk all that happened. Initially, there was I need help was written on his status. A lot of people saw it, and they kept it. Then Two-Face came out to debunk that his phone was hacked, and that was the same analysis he gave when he came online to divorce Annie Macaulay during their time too. He came out to say that his phone was hacked too before we found out that was the truth. And now he says he needs help. He wrote it on his own status that he needs help, and now he's saying that his phone was hacked again, and also came out to debunk that there's no issue between. Oh, he said every couple have their own crisis, and Natasha and him doesn't make an exception. That everything is good. That we are putting Natasha at risk because we all feel that the netizen feel that Natasha is the one operating to Baba's account and face. And on the comment section space, a lot of people are saying that that video of debunking that Two-Face made was under duress. Is it truly under duress? These are many more we'll be discussing. That men also face emotional and physical abuse in their relationship. What are our conversation around men who face emotional and physical abuse in a relationship? So we are talking about domestic violence most of the time. We always focus on the women being abused. And why do people really consider that men can also be a victim of domestic abuse? And also, when we look at people, Two-Face fame, and whatever is accolades that he has gathered over the years, if you could face something like this, how much more every other man, like ordinary men? You're welcome, Mr. Chegun.
Thank you. Good
It's gonna be a
afternoon.
messy
Good morning.
conversation. I don't know if I have trends today. See you
Right?
here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I'm laughing so hard here, seeing you. You're welcome, though. Please be gentle on me. I'm
Yeah.
very fragile.
No, no, no.
How you doing?
I'm always a gentleman. Yeah, I'm good. I'm fantastic.
How are you? Sorry, don't let me ask you how you bandits so that they will not think that
Ah,
you're not keeping bandits.
ah.
How you doing? How is Kaduna? Like,
Yeah, Kaduna is fine. Peaceful, good weather. Can't
okay,
complain.
that's okay though. KD for life.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at our own queer, our own legend that is facing
Mm.
this, allegedly facing basketballs, domestic violence on the hand of a woman. I'm sorry to say last one because I'm also a woman, but when a woman wants to deal with you, it comes to different dimension. So now, do you think that looking at the Tuface-Natasha, why do we really think that men can get abused? That men can be a victim?
Well, we've talked about it here before that the society expects men never to be a victim. The society expects men to take the role of leadership, and while they're taking that role, it is expected that they are always, the strength and the focal point of the relationship and marriage. So, and the society has made it like that. We talked about it that if you see a man who begins to make this kind of complaints, the society sees that man as a weak man. So it's not a big deal. In fact, I think many men, if you still read a lot of comments, many men feel like the man is acting, weak. He's acting like a woman. You understand? Of course, some people commented um, that he is the wife and she is the husband. You understand? So to say, so people just expect that when you're a man, there are some certain things that you're not expected to do in a relationship. You're not expected to be weak in a relationship, in a marriage, and all. So my answer would be that the society actually started it. So
Why do we dismiss men's pain? Okay, let's finally, a man is speaking up. Why do we feel that speaking up for a man, because if Two-Face has come and like, help me, I need help, this woman is showing, we'll tag him as weak and probably dismiss his pain. The reason we are still caring for him now is because he has not acknowledged and he has not owned up to this, what we are suspecting. It's still speculations. So if you own up to that and say, I need help, are we still going to have the same energy? Like, are we not going to label him as weak, like go and take care of your home, or we are still going to help him or dismiss any man's pain?
well, to be honest, um, it's just like I said, like the society has made it. If a man speaks out, he's regarded as a weak man. You understand? And even in this situation, there are people who are mocking him. In fact, I also don't feel very comfortable with the fact that he's acting like a very weak man. He's coming, to explain, to defend the person that is allegedly assaulting him and intimidating him. You know, that's the that's the move of a weak person. Even women will defend themselves if they have to. You understand? In a relationship, if they have the capacity to, how much more a man? You understand? So I think that would also speak also to his psychological state. You understand? For someone who pushed that hard to leave his former marriage, someone who fought tooth and nail to ensure that he leaves that marriage. So how does he then get into this new one? And it totally becomes, a weak person. So I think there's more to it. I feel like if you look back at all the decisions that he has made in the past, like 12 months, 12 to 18 months, you may want to question the rationale behind it, that is everything fine, psychologically, from the psychological point of view. And this is not just, from, yes, is a man point of view. Is everything really fine psychologically? I think there are a lot of questions that begs, answers.
So now, many people feel online have suggested that Two-Face look emotionally drained. What sign do you usually see in a man who you think is emotionally drained or silently abused in the relationship?
Exactly. Look, I talked about psychological states. Is being emotionally drained is actually a reflection of his psychological state. And if you look at him, he's not who he used to be. He's not as commanding as he used to be. He's not as there's this calm that he usually has. Even, this is somebody who at a point was accused of impregnating multiple women at once, and he never came out to make videos to defend himself or to say anything. He stayed away from the press. Maybe that was not just him, maybe it was his management. Of course, he still has a management that will tell him XYZ to do. You understand? But if he was able to handle that backlash at the beginning of his career, and he was able to have a successful career, and is unable to handle this one, in fact, a marriage that's even things that can be taken up under the law, it means that there's something wrong psychologically. If you look at the certain things people have reported, that his wife would spend, all the money, even if they had planned to do something with it, that they had a fracas and she called the police on him and got him arrested, and he still comes online to defend her. You understand? They come into that it frees. Of course, I feel like in fact, they shouldn't have even been at that Daddy Freeze life. I feel like anybody that goes to that place is begging for bad publicity. If they come in there and then she's shouting, he's shouting, and then he has to come back to come and tender an apology and to come and explain what happened to him and what happened to her and all that. I feel like you know, all that, the way that he has acted irrationally is the reason why people say that um, there's something wrong, that he's not emotionally balanced at the moment.
This well. Oh. And even looking at those, there was a video of them that I saw at Yvonne's party. Um, the lady was struggling to just hold that man's hand. Even when he wasn't so comfortable, the lady is just gum body. And the Two-Face that we know before, I don't think he has ever heard any in that gum body status before. Like, I don't know if that's the new love life that Natasha is trying to teach him, or it's just been like, leave me alone." So, because I was feeling uncomfortable for him. Oh, the for like he's not a baby. You guys are not
Right?
18 years, 19 years in love.
Mm-hmm.
Let's assume that you guys are in love. There's a mature way of showing love now. Not this old
Mm-hmm.
holding hand. You can't even let him sit by himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a mature
Mm-hmm.
way of showing love. So that shows a lot of distress. And the Two-Face that we think we should know, like the man that we should know, like should be able to tell, like, oh, Benny, when we go out, don't hold me like that. Oh, you can do your holding at home, whatever you want to do at home. When we are outside, as a public figure that I am, you should be able to set
Mm-hmm.
your boundaries, like this and this I don't want. Looks like Two-Face does not have a voice in that relationship to say, like, this is what I don't want in this relationship. Now, like I'll still bring this case to our regular men. If Two-Face, who is this big? Who is this? You know more. So, who is this big? And if he could face this, how much more ordinary men? I keep saying ordinary men because we don't have people that do not have a status like Two-Face, like he's not popular, he's not famous and respected. That's what I mean. Like the reality of men. Do you agree that men face abuse too? Like the larger percentage of men face abuse, or abuse is just part of life is now like love, like Natasha is doing
Mm-hmm.
Two-Face?
Well, to be honest, I feel like emotional intelligence is not decided by how popular you are. I don't think it's decided by how popular you are, and I don't even think it is decided by how influential or even how smart you can be. You understand? I feel like when you grow, as you grow, you tend to learn some things and you tend to understand how to handle things better. So I don't think his social status, has anything to do with whether he's able to handle it well or not. You understand? For me, I still believe that all they are doing is a skit, to be honest. I believe that they are shooting skits. Maybe they want to release an album and they're just trying to get our attention, because none of the things they are doing is logical to me. And the fact that they both have families who can intervene, to the point where the state assembly of the Edo state is actually trying to summon Natasha to come and talk about, or to come and answer questions about how she's been, treating him. You understand? So I feel like
Their own
maybe
marriage,
they
like that's
yes,
at home.
yes,
But Tuface is
yes.
telling family to step back, that family should not
Ex-
interfere in his relationship.
Exactly. Look, even the moment that relationship started, when they were going to marry, the mother first came out and said that she didn't look. All just feels like a Nigerian movie. She didn't know his whereabouts. But to answer the question of whether men can be able to, well, other men can be able to handle it, I still feel like we're still in a dispensation where men would probably never be able to, even when they speak out about their challenges, only a fragment of people would actually listen. You understand? And people will be quick to judge, to judge them and throw them, to the wolves. And I'll give you two examples. There was a video that was going viral recently of a particular lady who had a particular teacher who had intercourse with a 16-year-old boy. Yeah, she had intercourse with a 16-year-old boy, and it is expected that because the boy is underage, that she's supposed to, um, face the law. You understand? And I've been reading the social commentary on that, where a lot of people had different opinions about whether the boy was old enough to do that. The boy was did. Some people felt like, in fact, most people felt like the boy was at fault. That the boy is 16 actually, not 19. I had to do the research. So till now, the woman has not been, been arrested. But other people now commented and said, if the case was reversed, right? What would have happened? There would have been hell would have broken loose. You would have probably found a few people, a few women, activists in the country who are already mounting the streets and trying to, create,
And
awareness
you
on the
men to go
matter.
and mount the streets now. Do we owe you? You to go and mount the streets
It's
now.
it's it's not about manning the streets. It's
Men to
about
support men
the
too.
it's not about men supporting men now. Okay, I'll give you another example. A certain woman came out the other day and alleged that her husband had, sexually assaulted the children, very young children. I think they were about 2 and 3 years old. You understand? I think the husband was arrested at the point, but the children were interviewed, and then the children told the people who interviewed them that the mother told them to say that their father did XYZ, that touched them in XYZ place. You understand? So now, anyways, the matter was said. They advised them to settle it amicably and all that. But the point is, if the case was actually reversed, or maybe if the guy actually did the thing, right, it would have been hell. All hell would have broken loose. My point exactly is that it's not the same when you are trying to judge the woman and you are trying to judge the man, or you are trying to listen to the woman's perspective and trying to listen to the man. If the man talks, it is seen as weakness. We talk about it on this platform. If the man complains too much, is being seen as a weak man and all. A strong man in the African context especially is a man that can be able to suffer. I'm not even going to use the word pain anymore. Is a man that can be able to go through a lot of suffering. You understand? Ask yourself this question: that why is it that when you see a man who is not dressed well and is hustling and is not really doing well, the man is regarded as a poor man. When you see a woman who is hustling the same way and is not doing well, the woman is regarded as a hardworking woman. It does not, it's in no balance, it no go together. So because of this societal the way the society actually looks at it, it's difficult for you to tell a man that if a woman is assaulting him in the marriage, he should come and report it. They will laugh at him. They will laugh at him. Yeah.
I think we need to do better. We need to do better. We should stop doing that. We should stop laughing at men who need to speak up. I've always been an advocate of men should speak up, men should cry, men should, be vulnerable. Men need to learn to be vulnerable, but know who you're vulnerable with too. Anyways, we are welcome, bro. Today, how you doing?
You're
welcome. How is the weather? Show to
I'm managing.
Okay. This is weather. So let me dive to Natasha's case from you. Why do men like manipulating, controlling partner? Why do you enjoy them silently?
Why do men like manipulative, controlling partner? Is that
okay?
the question?
Why do men enjoy them silently?
So, I think it's a mixture of everything that my honorable minister said, in person of Evangelist Natasha. It's societal, right? Because if anything happened in a marriage, the first person everybody points and fingers to is the man, right? So if anything should happen, oh, that man did, the woman, whatever. Before people start to really realize that the women are actually not as good, is until when the man speak up, right? Which is, or if there's a camera in front of them, in the case of Tuface, as we're seeing now, because all of this that happened, we wouldn't have known if there was no recording of that incident that happened in the UK, because everybody believed that, oh, Annie was not good to Two-Face, and Two-Face had to move on. And then we all kind of like, oh yeah, he's happy now, he's good, right? If that video did not show up, we won't know. It will still be having the feeling of, oh, he's happy and all of that. And it is the way men are. Can you still hear me? Okay. It is the way men are, right? But men are not emotional beings. It's really not about enduring. It's more about, can a man live his life even with I want to use the word narcissistic, controlling, manipulative woman? The truth is yes, a man can do that. And it goes to what men, the composition of how men are, right? All I have to do is to switch off. I mean, there's a saying that men have a place in their mind where there's nothing is there, right? You can go to that place and feel nothing. And the other part of it is, sometimes men feel guilt when it comes to the behavior of the woman in their life. And I know that women can disagree with this, right? But if there's an issue in a marriage, right, deep down, the man still feel like, yeah, I've failed in some form of duty, right? Maybe I'm broken, and there's nothing that breaks a man in a space that, other than the fact that the person that you're dealing with feels like you're not protecting her, right? Or feels like you're not providing. I don't know the details of what is going on with Two-Face and the likes, right? But I'm kind of like speaking broadly, right? And women can weaponize that in a way, to make the man feel less of themselves. And the reason being that, if there's something that, the one thing that makes a woman feel less of themselves in the marriage is if the man is, there's infidelity, right? So the woman will think that, oh, am I not doing enough? Is the woman that you're going for, is it better than I am, and all of that? What makes a man feel less of themselves is kind of like similar to that as well, right? If your woman is, and if we want to talk about what makes a woman controlling, it's always a case of you're not able to provide this for me. You're doing this to other women. You're not doing it to me, and all of that, right? And then the first thing a man will think of is, I'm not doing enough for my wife. Now, it now leads to the societal part of it. The man will not be able to talk out, because the next thing you will hear from the man is, when you're not a good man, you've not been treating your wife well, right? Of course, and I'm saying it from the perspective of the man, because that is what we're talking about. I'm not saying it because that does not happen with women also. It does. But because of the fact that women are emotional, they talk every time. Every time something is not going right with women, they talk, right? And that is how we're able to know much about what women are going through. But with men, we don't talk, right? The first thing we'll think about is, okay, what do I need to do to fix it? And as we're fixing it, even if it's not working right, we will still continue in that spiral of, I don't want to be seen as weak. I don't want to be seen as broken. I don't want to be seen as a bad person, right? The time that men kind of take action, they now eventually become the villain rather than the victim. In the sense that while women will talk about it, if the men have had enough, they will go out of the marriage. Does that make sense? The woman can stay in the marriage and still be talking about it, still be crying and all of that. But what men do is they look for a way of making themselves happy. If the wife is not bringing that happiness, that's why you see them drinking and then looking for the bosom of another woman. So at the end of the day, men eventually become the villain rather than being seen as the victim, right? Imagine, and I think Mr. Ajashegu mentioned the two cases of a woman that lied about the husband, right? I didn't really follow the story, but when when it first broke about the man molesting the children, everybody on social media were gunning for this man's leg. The man did not say, I mean, we were not even ready to listen to the man's side of the story. Because once you hear about that, emotionally, I mean, Nigerians don't think about proving beyond reasonable doubt. I mean, especially when it comes to molestation and all of that. Immediately, the first person say one thing, you're a bad person, right? Until the next time that came up, and then we now got wind of the issue. And guess what? Even the outrage to the woman when they found out that she lied was a fraction of the outrage to the man when the woman lied about him. You understand the point that I'm making? So when we're talking about, and I know that we always talk about inequality with men and women, about how men rule the world and all of that, patriarchy and all of that, toxic masculinity. That is on one side, but the system is rigged against the men in terms of emotional outbursts, right? And that is why men would rather, you know what, let me just keep it to myself and now find a way of making it work for myself, rather within the marriage, and say, okay, you know what, I know this is what this woman is about. Let me just be whatever it is that makes her happy. You know, all these happy wife, a happy life, right? Nobody said happy husband, happy wife. So that's another reason why men do that, right? So men would rather continue to endure that. Let me just make her happy, because I know that her happiness is tied to my happiness. Then the next thing will be, if they cannot take it anymore, you know what? Let me do something on the side, which eventually becomes a bad thing for the men when they are caught.
So now, maybe programs like that masculinity program that that Ibuka started, maybe that will change the narrative about men. Maybe men will start talking about men. And over the time, because you guys don't talk, men don't talk, we can't do the talking for you. We only talk about what affects us as a woman. A woman can only reflect on what's affecting women. So when the conversation of that woman that lied about the husband came out, I expect the influencer, the men that are influencers, to also talk about it and raise the conversation. But nobody's doing that. Like that is, so we're gonna talk about him for you now. The news took it. I expect influencers to pick it up and become a conversation and reflect on it. But men are not talking. How would do we help you? Maybe men should also pick up microphone and start talking about situations that affect you. So with that, you don't say we do not talk. Like society do not talk. Who are the society? It is you and I. And when an issue affects the men, let the men that are influencers speak up for other men. When it affects the women, the influencing women should also speak up for them. And with that, we have a better society. Is that fair? Is my judgment fair?
No. That would be a perfect world, right? But the truth is, it's the way I see it is like an immovable force being met with an unstoppable an immovable object being met with an unstoppable force, right? And I think one of the things, and Mr. Jashegun is probably going to have one or two things to say about this, right? It's more about how we're changing the composition of the man and the woman. We always want the men to be emotional, and then we want women to be tough. Unfortunately, we're not created that way. God didn't create us to be emotional and then the women to be tough. That's where problem starts. I think you're right on influencers taking up for men, right? But it's I'd rather we collectively start a campaign about understanding ourselves as two is this species now, male and female, right? Because at the end of the day, if the men influencers are taking it up for the men, it becomes a whole lot of noise, where it's now a case of patriarchy versus the feminist and all of that. And I believe that is where the fundamental issue starts, right? We're not supposed to be saying we versus them in terms of men, because like I said earlier, what affects men affects women as well. It's just that it affects us differently, right? I think the message should be a message of empathy, and to tell both gender to at least be gracious to the other, right? Be have a what is the word that I'm looking for now? Have let me use this common word, an allowance of grace for each and everybody. So think about it this way. Here's the question. Why do you think Natasha is doing what Natasha is doing?
Because maybe she was raised among a man and she has always lived with a manipulative, environment, which environment is speaking about her,
Mm-hmm.
and she can't bow for a man. I don't know. I'm just thinking maybe
Yeah.
she can't be under the tutelage of a man. She wants to, she's masculine. She has a domineering spirit and she wants to exercise her power and also use her position. Like you get name, you say get name. I don't understand, but she
Mm-hmm.
understand. Maybe a
Yeah.
personality.
No, you're right. You're right about that. That could be a reason. And the reason why I asked that question is because of the fact that in being empathetic and in allowing having allowance for each other, whenever things like this happen, we don't start from the inception, the root cause. We jump to conclusion. But same way you said that, I can give my own assumption of some of the things that people are not looking out at too, and it's glaring us in the face, right? Here's one: precedence, right? here is Two-Face that Annie had to endure multiple women for Two-Face stepping out, having multiple children. That's number one, right? And then Natasha comes in. I wouldn't blame Natasha for trying to be protective, right? Because they say once beaten, twice shy. It may not be you. You may not be the one that was beaten the first time, but at least you have a knowledge of what this man is capable of doing to his woman, right? That's number one. Number two, can we unpack how Two-Face got involved with Natasha? Because it was a messy thing, right? Because Two-Face was still with Annie, and then all of a sudden we saw that Two-Face fell out with Annie, and then a week later,
she don't do it.
exactly. So one ẹni tí kíní kan tó bá ń fa orí èèyàn kò ní fẹ́ jẹ́ kó gbé dàgbà orí ẹ̀. So could it that Annie understand? Sorry, not Annie. Natasha understand that. Oh, I snatched this guy from one lady that was quote and unquote. I'm not saying that is the case. So again, whoever is listening to this, don't crucify me. That was quote and unquote careless with this man. So maybe in a way,
Man, you know, just throw it on snatching.
I'm not saying the man is a toy, don't snatch, but that was why I started with the precedents. Of course, we cannot remove Two-Face past from all of this.
Yes.
You understand? That's number one. That's number two, rather. So maybe Annie knows that, oh, well, in the wise word of Professor Said Oshupa, he sang a song that go and listen to that song. It's philosophical. But what Said Oshupa was saying was there was a story of a woman that got married to a man that rears chickens, right? And the lady was having an extramarital affair with a man that sells goats. Are you following? So the lady and the man that sells goats now devise a plan to kill the man that sells that rears chicken. So the way they did it was they told the man they planned that the man that sells goods would in the middle of the night come and like rattle the chicken, right? So that when the man that rears the chicken hears the noise of the chicken, he will come out, and then so they did that for the man that sells chicken, and then they killed the man. Now the woman is now the wife of the man that sells goods.
The goat.
You understand? And then the same thing happened. The woman is now having an extramarital affair with the man that sells cattle.
Okay.
I wanted to remove out of the way again. Same plan, right? So they devised the same plan to rattle the goats now, and then expecting the man to come out. But of course, he knew what they did to get in that position. So when they rattled the whatever, he did not come out.
He didn't come out.
You understand? So he was that was now the response that you now said that so that's the point. Natasha was the elevator in this case. They know what they did to remove Annie. And of course, again, if you follow that story, it was a really PR. It was a really great PR against Annie. All the story about her being drug related, all of that. That's the number one thing that you say, right? So if, of course, when
and that is what I said allegedly brought them together again, because the two of them are into it.
So
Natasha and Two-Face
knows that is putting up a defense not to happen. So that's the second point as to what could have led to all this issue. The point that I'm making generally is for men and women, and I'm moving away from Two-Face Livia's case now. For men, there's no cause without effect. A woman that is even manipulative, and then the man is dealing with it quietly, does not start just like that. There must have been something that is built up. A man that is stepping out of his marriage, that is doing one thing to the wife, does not just start. There must have been something. And I'm not getting into the details of why the woman is doing that or why the man is doing that. But a lot of things would be solved if the person that is taking the drastic action can pause a little bit and say, why is this person doing this? What are my contributions to it? What can I do to stop it? Right? I think a whole lot of things would be solved. By reason of saying a whole lot of things, I didn't say all of it. There are some crazy things that cannot be solved because there are some people that you can do the best you can do for them that they will still be weary. That's not part of it. But majority of the things that people are facing, we cannot just start the campaign of men for men, women for men as a solution. It's more about a community that really elevates that empathy.
No, what I mean, I don't really mean like it's gonna be a battle. Like the other guy that spoke up, like when a woman have a baby, the men have emotions too. So in that aspect, nobody has ever talked, or we've never had a conversation that men have emotions too when they have a newborn. So that conversations like that, we also equip women to have more empathy because men are also facing something like this.
Yeah.
Most of the time, men knows everything women are facing because we talk about it almost every time. But we don't know what you guys are facing because you guys don't talk about it. The Ginsha, I know more. You get what I mean?
Exactly.
If that guy has not spoken like he did the other time, many women do not know that you guys face something. It's not a comparison case. It's just awareness. So that you guys will know that you guys have emotions, like you have something you face too.
Let me give a response to that. Again, that also is about precedence. Precedence on the social media space and precedence even in the microcosm, the family, right? In the social media space, that man that said that oh, men goes through emotions. Of course, there are people that were supportive of what he said, but majority of people, both men and women, talked that man down. You understand what I'm saying? Without really listening.
So sorry for cutting. When he was talked down, if another man has supported him, it will have been like wait now. Just added someone raised an issue. Toya, what's his name? Yabo Ojo support. Another person supports. It will become like okay, even if you are thinking it right now, that conversation will twist like let's pay attention to what they're saying. Because it was that man that was solely talking. That was why he was dragged. If another Ebuka or other VDM has spoken on the same subject matter, it will fly.
I agree with you. On that, I don't have any objection. The only thing that I was just trying to bring to fore is, as much as we want to see the men as the ruler of the world, the truth is, on some cases, women does rule. And that's why I said I don't have any response, because there's a strong solidarity amongst women. You understand? The reason why most men don't talk, like again, going back to that issue of the man, is if I'm a man and I saw what the man said and how they came for him, it would be wise of me to say, hey, Yakbele, my brother, you've tried your best. Than for me also to now set ring lights. That's okay. But you know one thing, if a woman says something, and even that is solely like against the man, right? The majority of people that would come for that woman, like seriously, emotionally, will be women, not men. Men, we just be somewhere in the corners of our house. You understand what I'm saying? And then the next thing is the next person that will give a response to the woman, to caution the woman, will be another woman. And we will just be here and be saying, oh, well, don't get into this. Like the men just sit this one out. Because win. That is why. But it's the other thing to it is what I always say is if you want to talk about things that affect gender, if you're talking it from one point of view, you've already failed. You've already audience. There's no way you talk about things that affect men and not balance it up as an equal thing that affects women. It may not be the same thing, may not be apple to apple, but if you come to today now, and that's one of the things that we see happen oftentimes in the Christendom, and you're preaching women submit to your husband, and that is the only theme of your message, you've lost your message. You cannot preach women submit to your husband and not preach the other half of what is expected of the men. Same way, you cannot preach on anything that is required of the men and not preach on the other half as the equal and opposite reaction of what the women should do. So I think a better way of approaching this would be not to say we are for the, and again, I'm saying it again, we are for the men, we are for the women. No, because if you say that and 100 people respond, 60% of them will say, but the other, you understand? That makes it
We shall need program. We need more of men's program. I love men's table when they discuss what they feel. When they discuss how, I shall like, there are two programs I watch on YouTube that are basically men's conversation. And I love to hear them because I really want to know what other things men are facing. I don't know why I just build, interest in men's conversations.
Yeah.
So, but most of the time, we need more of that awareness in the public space so that we know.
I really do agree with you. We have men, like you said, I think the masculinity and all of that thing that you have.
There's another one, Black Table on TVC. They call themselves Black Table.
Good. What I'm looking for, I'll be looking for, would be such program that brings issues that affect men and women with men and women on the table and discuss together.
It will be arguments. Oh, you do this, you do this. No, I don't like that. Because we've had that in the past. We all know everybody. The ladies of your view. They discuss men, women, what affects women, bringing men like what they feel about men in their own different. And this masculinity too, they discuss their own issue, bringing a bit of what women feel about them too. So conversations like that if women are listening, they understand what men are passing through or what is expected of a woman because this is how men think. A lot of times we don't know how men think.
I understand what you're saying.
We only want them to love us the way we want to love them. And they are two different things. So now these programs like this will make us understand men. When a man cough, now you know what it means because you've had it in a conversation that this is what it means for a man. Men are logical, women are more emotional. So when you are dealing with them, you know how to deal with them from that perspective of who they really are. And conversations like this or table like that will make us to know how men think.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and I'm not disproving, or is that disputing rather what you're saying. I'm only saying that and this is my personal opinion, right? I believe that anything that you do should involve saying something and getting feedback to me. So if I want to think about any program like that, right, I'll just title why do what you do, right? So it's not a case of you come to be defensive, right? Let's say topic, right? A topic of men and women, and just have the man ask him, okay, regarding this situation,
how do you think?
Why do you do things that way, right? And then once you're done as the woman, say it back to the man. Okay, now that you've known why,
it will become defensive.
again, that's what I'm saying. Don't come
There's
with
no way you ask me, why do you do this? That won't tell you reason why I do it, and also align it with a woman in that space.
yes,
Okay,
that's okay. That's
why
okay. I
why do you cry when you go through emotions? Something like that, a
okay.
question like that. I'll
Yeah.
tell you, because a man offended me. I'll
Okay.
still blame it on a man. Women will always blame it on a man. Men will always blame, especially the bad things, will blame it on the women.
I'm not disputing what you're saying. Right. But what I'm saying is sometimes it is important to have an understanding of why we react as human beings. Right. Whether it's because of something that I do or not, that's okay. But most of the problems that I've seen is women cannot place a logical reason to why women do some things. Example of what you said about crying. I get the reason why you cry, but I know that I won't cry, right? I'm interested in knowing that why do you think that is the best action to take? Because I don't get it. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not
Yeah.
saying that your action is wrong. I think that's where the problem stems from most of the time. In the women feeling that when, like, say, I'm saying something or you're going through something and your next emotion is you're crying. Okay, let me give an example. A woman that says something to the husband, right? And then the husband spin up a solution. I've had that many times without numbers where my wife will say that, I just want you to hear me.
Exactly.
You understand? But me as a man, I hear problem. The next thing is solution. You get the point that I'm making? So
Well,
things
she
like
doesn't want to solution it. Just here.
that's the thing. Why will you be going to problem? And the only thing again, it doesn't make sense to me. Same way, the way I react does not make sense to the women. See, God has created. To me, I always say that God has a very great sense of humor, because how will two people that are almost on the 180 degree, is it 180 degree? Yeah, different from each other, supposed to live together if they don't have an understanding? And of course, that's an example. I'm not saying that is
I get you.
all encompassing, but the point that I'm
So
making
now
is
let's run it up because of a time. We just last question is, how do we men feel safe to talk about their experience? What are those things we need to put in place so that men can feel safe to discuss and without be vulnerable, without feeling being judged? And what do we need to do as society, apart from empathy that you mentioned, like without judging, without judging the men for speaking up or calling them weak or
mm,
dismissing their pain?
yeah. So you said apart from the empathy that I mentioned, but I'm still going to start with that empathy because that's the see. Actually, empathy is the only thing, because it is what is going to determine the next set of actions, right?
Hold on. If we are being okay, a man is vulnerable now and is talking. As much as I want you to express yourself, also solution it to yourself. Because if you cannot solution it yourself or call other men to solution it for you, then that means you have become feminine. You are now acting like a woman. The woman will now be the one to solution it for you. Then you have switched the role.
So
So how can a man?
what you just did is you want the man to be a little bit feminine, but not feminine.
Exactly. Like,
But
as
again,
much as I want you to talk, at the same time, as you are talking, be thinking of the solution yourself. Or gather other men who will solution it for you without putting it on without being helpless. I don't know how to say it, because the moment you are helpless,
I know what you're saying. Honestly, I would say that, for lack of better word, that is counterproductive. Because a man that's, and the reason why I'm saying that is why I started. We want a man to be feminist, if to be feminine and not feminine. That's confusing. A man that will set up ring lights to speak had already exhausted all solutions that he has. So if he's speaking and you expect him to have solution, you're further breaking him. That's a problem. Again, going back to that empathy. Empathy is, first of all, listen to the man. Right? What will make a man? The reason I'm repeating a man is because it is not in
now
the
a man don't do too much now. All of them don't do too much. They can't do, they drop it. They don't, like, the men that you are thinking are no more the men we have in the society now. Men are not thinking and they are not doing too much now. Like the men, like that man you are talking about, they don't even think at all before saying, I set all the position, like I just need help me. Then they are throwing help at you at every time. You that they are throwing, help me at, you're also depressed. Yeah, taking too much.
I'm still gonna say Awani. I don't want to seem like what is the word? Is it castigating you or something? But the point that I'm making is this: men did not ask for what the society is forcing on them. Right? Men would always want to figure things out. And trust me, and I'm repeating it again, a man that says that open a ring light to talk, and at some point, and again, I'm committing the same crime, but I'll say it, and at some point reduced his manhood. That's how men think. Because you as a man, you should be solution oriented. Right? Now, if we want a man to be what a man is, right, the man would find the solution at all cost. And if all the solution falls flat, the next thing will be what we all will now blame the men for: stepping out to find peace outside. You understand what I'm saying? But we want to prevent that. That is why we are asking men to speak up. So when men now decide to take that option, let's be empathetic to them and not say, you as a man, why are you behaving as a woman? Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Okay. Today, let's assume like Tuface has been going through all this over the years. When he had a encounter with the first lady and he wants to speak up, he came and set the ring light. I'm sorry, guys, I did this, help me. Today. Tomorrow you come back again, help me. When a man, all it says, because we want them to be vulnerable, they come out every time. Then it doesn't worth it anymore. Like, you don't be like, oh Benny, can't you cover your shit by yourself? Can't you just take care of yourself?
Can I tell you?
But because we ask them to be vulnerable or to speak up, doesn't mean like at every little problem you come to us.
Can I tell you the alternative to what is happening? The alternative would be Tuface just doing what he knows how to do best, leaving Natasha. What do you think people of the world will say?
So what I'm saying, I only mentioned Tuface, but most of the time when we say men should be vulnerable, when we say men should speak up for solution or to speak up so that they don't get the press, they abuse the word speak up and they tend to be on our faces every time speaking. And with that, they lose the value of speaking up. I'm talking about general men now. So when we are saying be vulnerable, you went to your friend, you were vulnerable, you were crying. You were vulnerable. I'm going through this. Life is showing me shaky. And that friend packed you and said, what's the problem? Solution it for you. You went back again. I came back to that same friend. Oh, my friend. This and this again. Another story. Tomorrow, another story. Would that friend not be tired? Say, oh, Benny, pack your load and take care of yourself. Don't kill me. So that's what I'm saying about a lot of time women do it too. But I don't know, the women will still get that support as many times they do it. But it's not the same as men. Then our men will become feminine. If every time they are vulnerable, if every time they are crying, if every time they are speaking up, if every time they are in one problem or the other. If it's
So
not paying rent today, it could be.
I get what you're saying, Oloto. My point is the alternative to what you said is to men going back to what men should be, which is not speaking up, figuring things out, and if what they figure out does not work, do what they do in that regard, which is choosing flight. So the question is, which one is better? The speaking up that you're saying is too much, or the not speaking up at all? Because you cannot have it halfway. You cannot tell men to be vulnerable and say they are being vulnerable too much. That's confusing. That's the point that I'm making.
Well, that's also, it's feminine too. Anyways,
So let
I don't know
men,
what to say.
if I'll tell you, I'll say let men be men. Let men do what men do without having to be opening. I hate it as well. Opening ring light and be taking all of that. I'm not against sharing things with your friends if you feel like something that is going on that you feel like is above you. But like I said, men should be solution oriented. They should find solution whether within themselves or outside, right?
Okay.
By outside, I don't mean step out or no, that's not what I'm saying. No.
I
But
know. I get what you mean.
right. And if that does not work, you cannot blame a man for wanting to be happy. Now, the solution that I suggested is what will prevent that, that will give men the ability to do what they do, which is being themselves without making it a chaotic thing, which is at the foundation to have empathy for each and every one of us. So that we won't have to either choose living quietly living quietly with something that will kill us or opening ring lights.
That's not good too.
So empathy with who you're marrying, empathy with the society will go a long way in helping both the men and the women. So that, of course, there are so many things that you need to consider, right? When you're already married to each other, right? So communicate, let know who you're marrying to. You're married to, in the sense that, and going back to the question that I asked about, okay, I understand that when things are not going your way, you want to cry about it.
Yeah.
Subscribe to that. But I know that that's who you are. But teach me how to react when, because I don't know how, okay, because I'm talking to you. The one thing I want to hear from you is what is going on? What can we do? But you're not telling me anything. You're crying. In my mind, it's like a computer program that doesn't know the next thing to do, like an open loop. I'll just be, my mind would kiwa ni mo fẹ́ ṣe báyìí, kí ni mo fẹ́ ṣe, ṣé kí n pet ẹ ni àbí kí n kó,
Oh.
should I leave her alone or should I stay with her? Should I go and buy something or that? You understand? So it's important to say, you know what? I know that things would happen that will make you feel some type of way, emotional. When that time happen, how do you want me to react? You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Same thing for men as well. When things are not going your way, I know you don't want to share with me till you have a solution. But I want you to know that I am here for you. So in the process of you dealing with that issue, me as your wife, what do you want me to do during that period? Because the thing about women is they don't want to feel like my man is going through this and I'm not there to support. But if you as the man can say, you know what, I understand that you want to help, but let me deal with it. Trust me enough to take the right decision that will solve this problem. I got this. You understand? I think
Okay.
that as a man to my wife. So
Thank
that's
you.
a long
Okay,
way.
I thought you,
No, no, I'm
because
done.
I really need to jump now. Thank you so much for your time.
Well,
So see you again next week. Thank you for this conversation. It's really insightful. And I hope we've learned one or two things for our viewers. Thank you.